G'day all, thanks for tuning in once again. In this episode of Home Robotics, I'll be restoring this old remote control tumbler Batmobile from the movie Batman Begins. I actually got two of these off a family that hadn't used them in a very long time. They don't work. I'll be restoring this one to its original condition. I'll be removing the internals and replacing it with a 2.4 gigahertz receiver, thereby allowing me to expand the amount of features I can add onto this. This one is particularly unique in that the steering mechanism is a small caster wheel in the middle, or just under the belly of the vehicle. These wheels don't actually rotate at all. They spin, but they don't steer the vehicle. In the next version of this video, I'll be modifying these wheels so they can actually steer the vehicle. These are the air brakes, main motor. These buttons are supposed to do something. You can see all the braces should be gold, should be that colour there, what the belly of the beast looks like. Dismantling the car did take some time. I counted more than 50 screws by the time I took out all the parts from inside the vehicle. I must admit the vehicle is quite robust. This thing has been dropped so many times by the previous owners, I can tell from all the scratches, but even when I was taking it apart, it had been reinforced in many areas. This is the insides of it, as you can see, the main motor, which does have some springs or shock absorbers. There's the lights there, and then you have the front steering mechanism. I will retain the steering mechanism and use a metal gear servo, providing enough torque to turn the caster wheel. There's some of the remaining internals of the electronics which I'll remove as well. The LEDs didn't work, I'll also be putting in new LEDs. The removal of the sides was quite tricky as well, but got there eventually. For the cleaning, I did start off with a bubble bath for all the parts, and I got my kids to help me, but some of the cleaning was done using a WD-40, which is really good at turning that faded black colour back into a deep black colour again. So there's quite a bit of chemicals being used to clean it up. The electronics didn't work, so I didn't really pay too much attention in the care of removal of the circuitry. I just want to get it all out of there, clean out the internal belly, and then make room for the new electronics. You can see what the caster wheel mechanism looks like. It's just a lever attached to the caster wheel. Remove the rest of the electronics, and then it was a matter of removing the main motor. Gave it a good clean, WD-40 made sure it worked as well. It did have two shock absorber springs on either side that'll provide the shock while on rough terrain as well. And just a quick test to make sure it works. It works. So I finalised the disassembly of the entire toy. What you see before you is the top cover. I will now reassemble it with the fixed front wheels. Given that I've disassembled both toys at the same time, I'm going to reassemble the original toy that I took apart, and I'll be using these original fixed wheels, so these ones that actually spin but don't actually steer the vehicle. For the second vehicle, I'll be using these wheels here, which will be steerable. I will be reassembling this in order to recreate the original toy, which has the fixed front wheels. Eventually, we want it to look like this. That's where the front wheels are. And there's the internals. The internals have been complete. As you can see there's the metal servo mounted on a box. There's the receiver, and I made a mount for the receiver so I can store some additional items. A high-powered ESC which can accept either NIMH batteries or LiPos. There's just an example of the servo throw. I can change the servo throw with a flick of a switch on the controller. This is a test to make sure it actually works. First few runs look promising. I had to rewire all the new LEDs. I used 330 ohm resistors to connect it directly to the ESC, And here I have a servo which turns the lights on and off. Cut a hole to make way for the 8.4 volt battery plug. Pretty impressed so far with how it's turned out. I gave those braces a paint of gold. Inside on a flat surface seemed to work fine. The steering does look a bit odd given the front wheels don't actually turn, but it still turns. But the real test was when I took it outside.